What's up, guys? It's Michael here. Today we're going to cover a video topic on homelessness in California. So, a lot of people know when they hear about homelessness, and people don't know about it, they think about it's in like some third world country. Like you send pictures of homelessness of California, some people think it's some type of really crappy place, but you realize it's in California. So, when you look at homelessness, there's a couple of things you have to look at. First, we're going to specifically target zoning laws in this video because it's really important that finally our governor Newsom passes laws as called SB9 and SB10. It's going to change the zoning rules and regulations, which finally, not sure it happened and really keep track of it, but that idea like that's been proposed, that's great. So you got to understand that mainly zoning laws, rules and regulations increases housing costs. First, you got a lot of people. Number two, you got zoning rules and regulations. For example, in 2020, there's a law that's been passed by the government that requires new homes, meaning if you tear down your house, build it from ground up, it's required to have solar panels. So yes, you have solar panels, but that increases the cost of the home. And how much it benefits? Most likely not too much. As for those EV freaks out there, the ones that said, oh, look, all electricity is being generated green, well, I have to beg to differ because during the heat wave this past week, we had an Amber Alert saying that we had to conserve electricity, basically meaning the grid couldn't handle the load. So even all that green electricity is being generated during the day, it couldn't handle the load. But, that beg to differ, this is targeting more towards homeless. So the zoning rules and regulations in California itself has been really strict for basically its whole lifetime, meaning there's always to try to build the ideal American lifestyle, which is, I have to admit, it's nice. Single family units, single family properties. Basically, you have a large backyard, you have a large front yard, and at the same time is you own a whole land for yourself. Well, a lot of people like that living style, but at the same time is it comes at a cost. The cost is that you cannot fit a bunch of people in densely populated areas. You can still have single family residential housing, but you want to at least allow them, give them options. So for example, you can look at Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills, it makes sense, right, to keep single family housing units because that city wants to maintain all the wealthy people. The places near the beach, like Newport Beach, makes sense. So if you want to do it that way, what you can do, you can have the really nice areas, locations, and lots, have that type of family, single family housing units, and you have a specific part of the city where they have basically changed the zone and rules and regulations where they required you to have apartments, condominium complexes. So what the SB9 and SB10 does now, it allows all people who own single family housing units to convert it to like an apartment, a duplex, a triplex, a quadplex, or maybe something like, ADU, a accessory dwelling unit in the back of your home, which will honestly help ease supply and demand, which allows people to rent more. But to curb the homeless people, first of all, you got to figure out, do they want to rent the homeless people? Because if I was in their shoes, I'll be honest, I would say no. Because there's a lot of headache, there's a lot of hassle, and it's not beneficial for you. You can be nice, and they can take advantage of you. And it's a really horrible feeling when that happens. So a lot of people don't want to go through that. I understand. But for the areas, for the people, because you got to look at the generation and the population of the homeless people. The homeless people, they're breaking into different categories. The ones that this housing prices and this housing law is trying to fix are the people who actually do work hard. They do not take drugs. They do not basically have mental health illness, but they just do not have the income. They just didn't have, the specific job to make that amount of money. They didn't have, savings, which most Americans don't have. And they became homeless because rising rents and because there's a lot of people. There's not enough supply, and there's a bunch of demand. So that will solve a portion of the homelessness. And the reason why I consider this very important is because you want to get those specific group of people into homes, meaning not the ones that are mentally ill, not the ones who are on drugs all the time, is the ones that basically during the pandemic or the ones that, had a job but couldn't pay for or lost their job or got sick and ill and couldn't pay for it. You want to get those back into housing. That will decrease a certain amount of homelessness within the homeless population. Which once you solve that specific group of people, because think about it, a lot of people who have single family housing units are not allowed to build multiple family housing units. First one, you gotta consider that people like their homes like that. They like their homes as single family housing unit, which is fine. which you have a lot of family, you have like, a whole entire family members. They want the backyard, they want the front yard, they want the massive land. Understandable, because I'm like that too. But what happens to have investment property, which is another single family unit housing? So they want to convert it. So here is a controversy. So if you're in an area which is single family housing units and ultimately you have the rules and regulations that have been restricted, got removed, you're that one family decide to convert it to like a quadplex or a triplex. The question is, would your neighbors like it? So at the same time, the argument here is your neighbors might not like it, but you can argue back that this is your land. You can do whatever you want with it based on these rules and regulations from SP 9 and SP 10. But so if you do it that way, your neighbor might not like it. Here is the argument where you can argue with them. First of all, who doesn't like money? Everyone likes money. You can tell your neighbor, it's like, hey neighbor, I'm gonna build this quadplex or triplex or duplex or an ADU in the back. I live in the front. Why not you do it too? And you can help them out. You can explain to them, hey, if you do this, you don't have to pay for your property tax. You don't have to pay for a mortgage. You don't have to pay for electricity bill. The person you're renting out can pay for it. So if you convince your neighbor financially, because the whole point in doing this is financially, finance. You can think of it as investment. Your first step, converting your own property into some type of investment. If you convince your neighbor to do it, since right now the rental market is so hot to the point, it's like the perfect time to pull that trigger off, which is converting your house into like having an ADU in the backyard that's legalized, has all the permits, because permits itself and all rules and regulations, building new houses are always going to be very expensive. That's how it is, because all the laws that our current governor introduced and the previous governor exacerbate the price of housing units, which is not going to change. But if you want to take a simpler route and convert that portion of the homeless population back into homes, that's the way to do it. I got to congratulate him, even I really don't like our governor. A lot of things he do wrong. This is one of the things he did do right. But like I said, if you can convince your neighbor to not vote against that bill and convince them, like, hey, because first of all, who doesn't like money? If they can convert their home to make more money, your neighbor might end up, joining the same lot as you, same idea as you. Rent out, have an ADU in the backyard, rent it out. Eventually, when they make enough money, they can rent out their own home and move to a new area that's even better, has a larger dwelling unit. You can tell them it's a type of investment. You can tell them, like, hey, I'm living in this specific part of the city. The specific part of the city is considered average. If I make enough money and rent and build an ADU in the backyard or convert the whole entire home to like a triplex, quadplex, maybe like a bunch of condominiums because the land size is large enough, you can take all the revenue, pay off all your mortgages, cover your property tax, cover electricity, cover water, cover trash, and extra money comes to you and you can move to like a better property. Like, let's say, for example, the beach property near Newport Beach or maybe San Diego near Laguna Niguel. So move to places like that. So if you can convince your neighbor like that, you can move up in lifestyle, not back in their lifestyle, increase their standard of living. That's the whole point. If you can convince your neighbors that having this bill pass and start, renting it out to other people who are basically in the bottom portion of society that need a cheaper rental, if you start doing that, rental prices will start going down and you'll start making money, then you can move up, you can increase your standard of living. So that's the whole point behind this. So as for those rules and regulations for this new zoning law, good job. As for would it drop rental prices, it really depends if it passes or not. And if your neighbors, including yourself, start changing your mindset by converting the lot you have, like a 7,000 square feet, 8,000 square feet lot, converting to like a duplex or maybe even triplex or quadplex, you can see a really big type of investment going on. So basically zoning will be changed. When zoning changes, you can accommodate a lot more people. But that's only part of the equation. And the next part of the equation I made in a previous video, if you have a lot of people living in a specific area, you better have really good public transportation because traffic will increase. That is one of the arguments against that bill. Because public transportation, like I mentioned how in my previous video, which you guys should go watch because apparently YouTube's not promoting it, public transportation is the answer to most modern cities' problems. That's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and go ahead, take a look at that bill that's being passed. Maybe you're living in California. Maybe you consider building a triplex and duplex. So if you do that, I'd rent it out, and you find another better property with a better location, like for example near the beach where the weather's a lot cooler compared to living in inland, this may be an opportunity for you. So that's it for this video. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.